Okay, there we go. Now people will be able to actually hear us. What is up, everybody? Micah Curtis here, and I have Xavier with me.
Hello.
And we are going to be rating some robots. Because we haven't done this in a while. At least not that I
Ro-
remember.
Robots.
In fact, what was the last one that we did?
Can't remember, to be honest. I think we tried to do See Destiny, or...
No, we did see Destiny ages ago. We did the original. We recorded Double O, but we only got halfway through it and then never got around to it again. So,
Yeah, we had stuff to do, or there was an equipment issue, or it's just like, no one's in the mood anymore. I don't remember
basically.
what happened.
Well, I'm definitely in the mood for it today, to say the least. Because this was actually requested of us to do two specific series. Which I was kind of surprised, but it's probably a good thing that the gentleman whose name I forget, um, who asked me to do it, he combined them. So today we're doing the O8MS team and 0080 War in the Pocket. Though I did not grab any of my master grades from either show, because I don't want to touch my bookshelf right now. I just don't. I worry about stuff falling over. So let's get on to today. So this is kind of an interesting one because a lot of what we're going to be looking at are kind of just remixes of the originals in a lot of ways. You know, the and well, fuck it. Let's just go ahead and get right down to it. So, whoop, there we go. So to get us started, we have the RX-79G Gundam Ground Type, and this is an interesting one because the funny thing about it, at least to me, was the fact that it had a yellow V fin. Because
Really?
for those who don't know, the original Gundam, it had a white V fin. The yellow V fin didn't happen until the Mark II. At least in regards to production history.
More than likely, what had happened is that the gold V-fin had become more standard because by the time 8th MS Team had come out, I believe we'd had G Gundam. We'd already had Gundam Wing, which all had, either gold V-fins or head crests or no V-fin in the case of heavy arms.
Well,
I think all the gun it was like really small. I think it had a big antenna on the back.
Yeah, it had an antenna too, but it did have a V fin.
I'm pretty sure. Let's see, the V2 had a golden. The Victory and the V2 both had golden V fins.
Yep.
Um, did the new Gundam have one? It's just gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah, the new Gundam has a golden one.
So this is very much a Gundam has a golden V fin. Everyone knows that situation. Kind of a nobody thought to look it up.
It's possible.
Yeah, the Gundam just has a gold V fin. That's just a thing they do. That's part of Gundam.
It's kind of interesting though because it's like I kind of go back and forth on which I prefer. Like the golden or the white. I really think it just kind of depends on the machine.
Color scheme and how it balances and breaks out is definitely a big difference. A difference maker.
I'm looking at the multi suits that I have in here, and I just realized technically I've only got two Gundams in this room, and it's Wing Zero and Epion over there.
Yeah, I think they at least from a design standpoint, if this wasn't accidental where they just didn't think about it, the gold V-fin really breaks up the color on the head because there's a lot of white and there's a very little yellow.
Yeah.
Like there's just the one vent as opposed to the twin chest vent. They also got rid of the yellow plates on the skirt armor that the RX-78 has.
Oh, that is true. They're all there. It's got a neutral color to it instead.
Now, I've built the 1/100 the master grades of the RX-79, the EZ8, the RGM-79 ground type. They all use like mostly the same parts. They are super comfy. Super comfy. Like,
Oh yeah,
they are very good kits. Very sturdy.
I would have to say if you want to introduce someone to master grade Gunpla, kind of as an introductory course, this is the Gunpla to get them. It is specifically this or the Gym Ground Type, because they're basically the same kit in a lot of ways, and they're part of that interesting like transitionary phase of like the early 2000s where master grades were getting really sturdy, like you mentioned, but they didn't have like the complex inner frame throughout the entire kit. It was like they had like the torso was usually fairly complex, the head was, but the arms not so much. It wasn't until, oddly enough, something that I'm working on right now, that they really started to kind of make the inner frame even more complex, and that's the 2.0s. Because here, I'm actually repainting my Char's Zaku 2. And since this is pulled apart and on my desk, I can actually kind of illustrate. You can see some of the inner frame there. But I've got the arm pulled apart. Like, this type of mechanics in it, where you've got a fully visible elbow and a fully functioning arm and elbow joint. This wasn't standard yet around the time that these master grades for this particular kit came out. This was more something that came along with the 2.0s in like the mid 2000s. But you would still get like hip joints that are about this level of complexity right here, where it's got, you know, a fully operating hip area and ball joints at the hip to give it all of that complexity. And then, of course, the legs in master grades have always been complex. Like, that's always been... That's the one thing, like, if you get into master grade building, if you really like building master grades, you're going to spend a lot of time working on some legs. It's just how it goes. But yeah, this is one of the first kits I ever built from master grade, and I really liked it. Now, as for the mobile suit itself, it's kind of interesting because I've always been in this weird thing where I've always wondered kind of what makes this a quote-unquote ground type. Because I guess if there is any one distinguishing thing, it's that it doesn't have as many back thrusters as
actually
the original Gundam did.
The entire unit only has 2 thrusters on it. It's just on the backpack.
Yeah.
It does not have feet thrusters. It does not have ankle or calf thrusters. It's nothing in the shoulders. It's all on the backpack, and that's it.
I think one thing that does solidify it, though, is the fact that it's meant, like, it's got a compartment to actually carry extra weaponry on its back and things like that. Like, these things are meant for long-term engagements. And, of course, here's some of the weaponry here. I always loved this big-ass cannon that they had. I don't really feel like they used it enough in the show.
I love posing mine with that. Funny thing is, to get all of the weapons used here, you actually have to buy one of each.
Yes.
The EZ8, the ARC-79, and the GM Ground Type.
Yeah. Each one has like a specialty weapon, like the. I know that this rifle. Actually, I don't know if the EZ8 actually has its own like a special weapon that comes with it. But this missile launcher here, this only comes with the gym ground type.
And the GM does not come with a with the backpack to hold stuff.
Ah, that's right, and the EZ8 does.
Now it is compatible with that backpack, so you could swap it.
Yep.
But otherwise, it just has this like kind of standard GM backpack.
Basically. But yeah, but the gym also comes with the sniper rifle as well, and a hand specifically for holding it.
Yep.
Regardless, though, as for the robot itself, this is an interesting one because it's definitely the mech that when you think the 08 MS team, this is probably one of the two that come to mind. I would say this and the Gouf Custom, which we'll get to that later. But I don't know what I would give it out of 10. Because I feel like one thing that gets in my way with this is nostalgia. Because like when I first saw 08 MS Team, I fell in love with it. Like it's fucking fantastic. I
do know that when you start digging into its history and the lore behind it, you know, the more you kind of find out about it, the more you kind of just go, huh. Because the entire RX-79 line is made up of spare parts for the RX-78.
Basically.
There's only like 20 of them in the world. And like 6 or 9 of them are in Asia with the 8th MS team. I think there's like 2 are in Jaburo, and I forget what the others are.
Are we count now? The question is, are you counting the Blue Destiny in that? Because the Blue Destiny is technically of this line.
I think the Blue Destiny is not counted in that original figure. It's been a long time since I had I went over the breakdown of it.
Yeah. Because the area that they operated in, there was the 7th team, the 8th team, and the 9th team. We don't see we only see the other 2 briefly. What we do find out in a later manga is that 7th team, the head of it was Mancha. For those who don't remember, like watch 0083, find the guy that's the prick with a mustache. That's Mancha.
Yeah, the guy everyone loves to hate.
Yep.
Yeah, you hate him, but he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Which is, harass women and pilot mobile suits.
Basically. But regardless, the interesting thing about this is it definitely feels like a robot that's made out of spare parts. It's like we gave it chest Vulcans. Why have Vulcans on the chest? Because if anybody has ever played Federation versus Zeon, those chest Vulcans are fucking worthless.
They are a little bit bigger than I think the normal head Vulcans, but I don't think the RX-79 had head Vulcans.
No, it didn't. And given that the purpose of Vulcans is to shoot down enemy missiles, you can't really aim your chest as well as your head. So, yeah, it's kind of useless. However, the fact that this thing had beam weaponry was scary. But regardless, what do we give it? Like, I have to say with this one, I give it an 8. Ironically, because I don't know why, but the torso construction and having the chest Vulcans has always bothered me about it. The rest of it, though, it looks pretty cool.
You got a problem with asymmetrical design?
Not necessarily. I just don't like it in this case. Like in some parts of it, it works. Like it is exactly what it says on the tin. This thing is basically the middle point between an RX-78 and a Gym. It's that middle spot. Like it performs better than a Gym, but it doesn't perform as well as the RX-78. I like the head design. I like the arm design. I like the leg design. It's that the torso, just because the chest Vulcans just don't do anything for me. But that's the one hang up, you know. So that's my grade. I'm gonna stick with an 8. What do you give it, Xavier?
I think it's 8 because it is kind of basic. It's one of those designs that really begs for customization.
Mm.
There are certain suits out there that are just perfectly fine on their own, and there are others like this thing is made to be customized and kitted out, and I think this is one of them. Sometimes that's intentional, sometimes that's unintentional. I think this was unintentional. I think they intended it to be basic because they didn't want it to be cooler than the RX-78.
Yeah. Because and ultimately, like, a lot of the best offshoots of this thing were custom units. All of the Blue Destinies are offshoots of this version.
Yeah.
The Gym Sniper 2 takes a lot of notes from this, so on and so forth. So,
yeah, but ultimately, I think that this was designed basic so that it would not outshine the different versions of the RX-78 that was an MSV that were potentially going to be in productions or were showing up in Gihren's Greed already. Or historically, you've got the GP line, which were... because Stardust Memory had already been out for years at that point.
Yeah. But compare it to, like, here's the Slave Wraith.
Yeah.
I like the Slave Wraith a lot more. This I would give like a 9 or like a 9. And
that just looks angry. So mean and angry.
Yeah. And then there's the what is it called? The main unit from
the Pale Rider?
Yeah, the Pale Rider. The Pale Rider's a 10. I fucking love the Pale Rider. Okay. Now we come to, speaking of custom ground types, now we have the EZ8. And this thing, when you tell people that Gundams are walking tanks, this is one that I would point them to. Because it's exactly what this thing is. It is a walking tank. Because essentially what happens is Shiro's Gundam gets all jacked up. They repair it with a bunch of gym parts, and they're like, you know what? Let's just put a bunch of extra fucking armor on it. And they did. And it works. Because this thing was very durable.
Not just gym parts. I think they actually fabricated some new parts for it specifically.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be the first custom unit in Federation history.
Yep, and it's pretty dope. Shiro was very good with this thing. And despite all the extra armor, it was very mobile. Then again, that's Gundams for you, you know. Because this thing like shocked the shit out of a Gouf flight type by basically leaping at it and killing the pilot. But obviously compatible with all of the same equipment of, a normal ground type Gundam.
The Federation was definitely forward thinking in that all of their weapons should be compatible with all of their units.
Yep. This one had held Vulcans.
Yeah. this would eventually be carried over into like the weapon standardization, where it doesn't matter what mobile suit you're in, you put a weapon in it, plug and plays the drivers you need to run it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And in my opinion, like one of the great things about this was just the simple fact that they were able to put this extra armoring on it, but not lose the mobility, because it really came in handy with the fights that came afterwards, especially when Shiro fought that Gouf Custom. This will forever be one of my favorite moments in the series, is when Shiro comes skating down. Well, at least that looked impressive.
It did. It looked very fucking cool. It's a damn shame none of those shots landed. Like, they weren't even grouped together properly. But part of that, I think, is like, he really wished those had hit, but I think it was more just the distraction.
Basically, just keeping his attention on him.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what this guy is going to do next. Now, this is from a CG OVA where I think it's called the Bridge Incident, I think it's called.
It was War in the Third Dimension.
Ah, yes. This is where he fights the flight type.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be implied that he's doing this between the last episode and between that mission where they're behind enemy lines.
Yeah, it's before they encounter Norris, basically.
Yeah.
Because the rest of his team is still with him.
But I don't remember if Karen had a GM head yet.
She did.
Alright, so then it was after they did the parachute drop. But no, this thing it is very tough. It has extra plating on its shield. Honestly, I think the extra plating makes it the best looking of all the shields of that type.
It's definitely... There's something about it. I don't know what. Here it is from the ending, or one of the Gihren's Greed games, dual wielding the machine guns, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, thank you to Rocket for the resub there. Yeah, this is, in my opinion, like, this is one of the most popular mobile suits from the series for a reason. Like, it just looks cool, and it's able to shed enough of, like, your typical Gundam look, but still maintain enough of it to very much feel like its own thing. So this one, I have to give it a 10. I really like the EZ8.
I give it a 10 as well, but there's also a little background here. It pulls a lot of design from the RX-78-3, and it really captures a little bit what Tamino originally wanted, in that a weapon would just be like one, maybe two colors tops.
Yeah. This is some great box art right here for the high grade.
Now,
here's some
the
pretty decent box art for the master grade too.
Now, the EZ8 is not only one of the most popular units outside the universe. In the universe, it's actually super popular. In universe, each of the members of the 8th team released memoirs about their experiences and what happened. One of them proved more popular than the others, of course, and got made into a TV drama in universe. And it was so popular that right around the time it was time for the show to end, and they decided to go in a completely different direction with it and let the 8th team go to space so they could participate in Operation Star One. And so the EZ8 got 2 different space models. One is just, the EZ8 in space, and it's awesome and fast. The other is the EZ8, but it's an anti-battleship mobile suit.
Let me see if
they fit.
I think it might be this one.
They fit like 2
build fighters.
Build fighters had like an E-War version and an AWACS. It's awesome.
Was it this one? Was it the high mobility custom? I think it's this one.
That's the first space model.
Yeah.
They give him a little a modified GM spray gun. And then there's another version where they've basically hooked a couple of battleship beam cannons onto him.
It's an interesting look, to say the least.
Like, half of that gear is meant to support the battleship guns and aim them.
Yep, apparently it appeared in SD Gundam G Generation Gather Beat, which I know nothing about. Alright, let's move on to our next suit, the Gundam Ground Type. Which, I mean, this is basically just the Gundam Ground Type, but without the chest Vulcans.
I like the color scheme better than the basic gem.
I do too. Something about the tan and red just fits really well. One thing I should warn people with this thing's master grade. It is not this red. It's orange. Bright fucking orange. So it's a great master grade if you want to paint it. I remember I was talking to you when I built it. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is false advertising.
That was one of the first things I repainted when I did my custom GM Ground Type.
Yeah, at some point I'm gonna build another one and paint it in its proper colors. But so the basic thing with this is that it can use any and all of the equipment of the Gundam Ground Type. It's just a gym. In which case, I mean, it is exactly what it says on the tin. But at the same time, it also, in comparison to the original gym, it has a very different head design. And in my opinion, a superior one.
Oh, yeah.
I've always liked the look of this. You know, like that head design. Because I've always felt that, like, the solo visor can look really good. As long as everything else that's around it is designed well. Another good example of that is right behind me. I have 3 suits that are like this, but we'll just use this one for an example. Because this here is the Jagan. This is my custom one. And this one has a really good head design. And it has a single visor. Also, I have to say that the paint job I did on this thing looks fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
And these are, for those wondering, playing the home game, maybe you're watching the VOD of this on YouTube or what have you. If you're wondering what decals these are the G rework decals. And they are slick looking. I really, really like them. But this one really has a good looking thing. And yeah, I think that, to be honest, I used the gym paint style on this, except blue and red instead of white, just red and black. It looks really slick. But that's a really good head design with the single visor. And then I've got like the Jesta and the Riesel back there as well. Those both have really good head designs too. So, but overall, I mean, this is a really good grunt suit, just in look and in kind of the way that it's featured. And of course, obviously, this was a difference maker in the 1 year war because, again, beam weaponry, a lot of beam weaponry. So, what do you give this one, Xavier?
Uh, I give it a 10.
Really?
Uh, it definitely a lot of the problems that existed with the RX-79 are kind of fixed here. Um, just like the RX-79, it begs to be customized
Yes.
or weathered. The cool thing I remember when I lived in Okinawa is I could go to Yamada Denki and I could get like 2 or 3 of these for like $20 a piece, which is what I did. So I had one that was legitimate. I was going to just weather it. I have another one that's like unbuilt in storage somewhere, and I had another one that's just for spare parts.
Yeah.
And I used that to give one of my other RX-79s a GM head.
Yep. This is like, in Federation history, this is one of the best grunts that they ever did. Because it can literally use any weapon that similar suits could use. It can use anything off of the Gundam. It can use anything off of anything. It is literally the jack of all trades of gyms. So it's just, and then here's the Slate Wraith version. Like it was just a very versatile ground type suit. It's very good. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah.
I think it's actually no. I'm gonna give it a 9. Like this is probably one of my favorite gym designs. Not my favorite. My favorite is probably the Jagan, to be honest with you. Color scheme aside, the Jagan or the Jesta. But this one's really up there for me. Like I just love the look of it. And the tan and red. It's just a great color scheme. All right. This one I don't think we'll have a lot to say about because it's just a mass production version of the gun tank. It's basically just a gun tank that has bigger cannons on it because it's meant to be super long range artillery.
They also, I think, they got rid of the core block.
Yes, and there's no core block system in it. The head's a little different too.
Honestly, I like this one a lot better than the original gun tank. I believe this one a lot more.
The funny thing is, you can make this an Armored Core 6.
You can.
Although an Armored Core 6 is going to be a lot faster.
Yeah, one of the training missions is drifting your tank tread turns.
That's
I love
awesome.
it.
But I think this was pretty all right. I'll give it a 6. Like it's not. I'm not super impressed by it. It's a mass production gun tank.
It does what it set out to do.
Yep.
6 out of 10.
And then
Matt.
I think this is our last one for the Fetty suits, and we'll do this one really quick too. The Gym Sniper, which this is a variation of the
ground type.
the
Yeah,
ground type.
There's no specialized equipment on it other than the beam rifle, and just some extra equipment it carries with it.
In which case, I'm gonna give it the same rating. It's a 9. It's dope looking. I love the color. The only thing I would change on it is something I would customize personally. And the funny thing about it is this actually has a kit. Funnily enough, but the only extra equipment it has is a battery pack for the sniper rifle.
Yeah,
it's basically the same as the Gym Ground Type. Like, you can literally, it's master grade, this thing. You can literally just buy a Gym Ground Type, because the Gym Ground Type has that same sniper rifle in it, just without the extra pack. You could just paint this, if you want to.
It begs for a paint, like an actual color scheme, because this is just, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's very to the point.
Like, it would be one thing if it was, like, patterned, like a camo pattern.
Yeah.
Or it was just, like, olive drab, so it's, like, gray and a dark gray. Being, very neutral. This is just, one color. Like,
I feel like the central block begs to be a different shade of green than the rest of it.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give it the same as the other gym though. So I'm gonna keep it at a 9. What about you on this one?
Yeah, unchanged.
Fair enough. All right, on to the Zeons. Which this one, the funny thing about this particular one is this is from MSV originally, but it did show up in the O8MS team, so we're gonna read it anyways. The Zaku Cannon. This is sort of a, I guess you could call it an answer to the gun cannon. In some ways. This is basically a Zaku 2 with a little bit more armor, and then it's got a big ass cannon mounted on the shoulder. Nothing too fancy about it. There's a good shot of it. What do you think of the Zaku cannon, Xavier?
They were a pain in the ass to fight in Gundam Side Story. Other than that, it's very much Okawara was told, hey, we need X amount of units. Well, I got the GM cannon, so might as well, make one for Zeon.
Yeah, I would say that, because there's a couple different versions of it. There's the O8MS team version. This version kind of takes off like the cool looking armor and makes the cannon a little bit bigger. In which case, I would give this like a 6. Like, it's all right. Mm-hmm. This stocky guy, he's just trying to do his best. But this version, the standard, I'd give this a 7. I like it. I love the color scheme of it more than anything. I love desert colors.
I like the shield redesign for it. It's not just that same classic knuckle shield they use.
Mm-hmm. Which, for those wondering, Xavier's talking about this thing. Because this is the shield that goes over the left shoulder.
Technically speaking, I believe it's referred to as a knuckle shield because they are supposed to be able to grab it and hold it in their hands, and that L-shaped part, that's where their fists go.
Yes. Just for reference, since I have a Zaku here. So hand. We close the fist. Pretend this is an arm. There's literally a part right in here where I can grip it. And I just close it over that. The rest of the arm sits right here.
Yeah. I believe that the Zaku Mariner have like spikes on their knuckle shields.
Yes, because those you can use in Zeonic Front, if I remember right.
Don't remember.
Yeah, regardless, pretty cool looking suit, to say the least. Pretty cool artillery suit. Walking target, though, if you use it in Battle Operation 2, for sure. Everybody will come immediately for you. But now we get to one of the beastliest, like, melee mobile suits ever. This is the one Zeon suit that anybody who has ever watched O8MS team is going to talk about, and that's the Gouf Custom.
Oh, yeah.
Which, this, in my opinion, I mentioned this during the initial review, or the Rate the Mecha of the original Gundam that we did. This is the Gouf perfected.
Perfection.
This is a scary fucking mobile suit. Now, granted, all it really is it's your standard Gouf in leg, chest, and head, but the arm units are the arms from the Gouf Flight Type.
They got rid of the internal finger machine gun and replaced it with a normal manipulator. and instead replaced it with this SMG that uses the same rounds with a replaceable magazine. Because in the old Gouf, when you want to replace the magazine for the internal finger cannons, you basically got to open the whole fucking arm up.
Yep, exactly. So here's the original, just for reference. And yeah, this is how the original was done. Now, granted, Ramba Rawls was interesting because his could actually close this hand, whereas a lot of the other ones couldn't. And then there's a variation of the Gouf that actually does not have this hand. It has a normal manipulator, like you mentioned. I think it's like the MS07BF, I think is what it is. Where that's got two normal manipulators, so it can use multiple weapons. So this was like an offshoot of that, but meaner. It's got more armor too.
Oh yeah.
And in my opinion, a superior paint job. I fucking love the light blue on top of dark blue. It's so sick looking.
The breaking it up with the black as well, and adding extra shapes to it, because the original Gouf is like kind of chunky. This looks more like dude is just super jacked.
Yes. Like this is like the Brock Lesnar of Zeon mobile suits. Like this thing is legitimately frightening. Like this is one of those things, like it's one of the last mobile suits I think you would ever want to fight on the field unless your name is Amuro Ray. Because as we saw with Norris, like, it took a lot to bring him down. And because this is a guy that was, like, playing fucking rodeo with fighters and just jumping around and having fun while he was fucking taking out an entire artillery unit. Like, he was really fucking good.
The only reason they beat him is because he wasn't taking him seriously. Like, to be perfectly honest, he's not there to win this fight. He's there to buy time.
Yeah.
And if he's keeping these guys distracted while he's going after the artillery, they're not calling in reinforcements while the team is still active.
Yep.
The other thing is that if the entire area just goes silent all of a sudden, they might sense something's going on over here. So send a team over here, or send some core fighters to check it out. For all the good it would do him, but he was very much in command of that entire battle up until he realized who Shiro was.
Basically. Lady Aina, I am sorry. I have found the place of which I am to die. Oh, it's such a chilling line.
Yep.
But this really showed like how frightening a Zeon unit could be. I mean, the fact that it could palm a Gundam with its hand and lift it and use it as a shield. That's crazy power.
Also, a testament to the sturdiness of the EZ8 frame. That's a sturdy fucking neck.
Yes.
Domo and Kashu hits one of those right, and they fucking pop off.
Yeah. But yeah, this is also one of my favorite suits to use in GBO2 as well. Just because it's so, like, just the fact that it has so many ranged options on top of being a close quarters monster.
Mm.
And hey, anime guy, thank you for the resub. Rate the Mecha tonight is 08MS Team and 0080, and we're on the Zeon part of 08MS Team. I'm really looking forward to at some point doing a custom version of one of these with my personal colors. But it's this thing is just this might legitimately be, I don't know what my favorite Zeon mobile suit is, but this is pretty up there. Like it's at least as like far as like non-ace. Well, I guess this is an ace unit, but non-custom units, like it's not the Sazabi, it's not the Cubile. This I think this and the Zaku 3 for me are probably my top two of like just grunt units that Zeon produced. I've always liked the Gouf a lot, and this is just perfection. So this is a 10 out of 10 for me. This is one of my favorite Kotoki designs too. What do you give it, Xavier?
10 out of 10. Best Mecha of the year.
Yeah, this thing's a beast. All right. Next we have is the Gouf Flight Type. Obviously, very similar suit. Same kind of armor and stuff like that. Difference is from the custom is the shoulders and the, big fuck off flying legs. So this thing, we only see it briefly in 08 MS Team. You see it in one episode in the original. And as you can see here, they had a pretty bad day.
Yeah, it's like, looking at these designs, if not before, three-dimensional warfare, it's like, what is this for, exactly? Because, Zeon had units that did what this did, but what is this for? Like, at first, give a cross between a Galf and a Dom.
Yeah.
Then I see it actually flying and doing stuff. Like, well, how long can that last? At that point, just get some base jabbers.
Basically, the basic thought, at least for me, is this unit first shows up in Zeta, oddly enough, as a Titans unit. And they just wanted to bring it in here, but yeah, it didn't even do much for the Titans either. So yeah, I mean it's interesting. I like the color scheme of it. The gray and brown, dark brown look.
Yeah.
The shoulders are interesting. It's all right. Like it's a Gouf that flies. That's really all I can say about it. I'd say
it's 7 out of 10.
7. Yeah,
Good
that's
job.
what I'm thinking too. Like it accomplished it was what it set out to do. It is a Gouf that flies, and it has a minigun, so bonus points for that. So that is the end of our list for 08 MS Team. Now on to 0080. And starting off with one hell of a Gundam. The Gundam Alex, also known as the RX-78NT1. The very first Federation mobile suit developed specifically for new type use.
Also, the first suit to have that 360 cockpit.
Yes.
Production-wise.
It is. It's one of the more popular fan theories, and I kind of agree. If Amuro had this thing at Bawaku, Char would have died.
Yep.
And he almost killed Char anyway. So.
Yeah. I think Kakarot is another Gundam YouTuber. He has this great video about it. If you have time, you should definitely check it out. Check him out. He's cool.
Yes. But this one also, the other thing that you'll notice about it, whenever we get around to Zeta, you'll definitely see it, is that the Mark II pulls a lot from this. Or essentially, this pulls a lot from the Mark II. Because it's like, this is like the Gundam Mark 1.5. It's got a lot of the same armament as your standard gun as the Gundam does. It has 2 beam sabers. It has its you know, it has a beam rifle, has a bazooka that it can use, has a big shield. The big gimmick that Mikhail found out is in the arms.
Yeah.
In both arms, there are miniguns, and that was a bad day for Mikhail.
Who designed this?
This one is designed by the same guy who did the Sazabe, which was Yutaka Izubuchi.
Because I don't know if he worked on any of the F91 stuff. He may have.
No, F91 was why am I forgetting his name? The guy who did the original Gundam.
Oh, Gora?
Yeah, it was Okawara. Hey, Dragon! Thank you for the resub.
Hello.
But yeah, F91 was Okawara. This is the guy who did Char's counterattack.
Yeah.
And one thing I was actually going to mention is that there's a lot of the weaponry and stuff on this is actually present in the High New Gundam, which Izubuchi also designed. Specifically, the Gatling gun in the arm.
Because this does kind of start an aesthetic. Since this was designed in like '88, and F91 was like just right around the corner, with a lot of Gundam designs wherein the top really protrudes out a lot.
Yeah.
If you notice,
I'm trying to find a good shot of the arm, but I'm not.
A lot of aesthetics on the legs and arms as well. Those seem to carry on into future designs more often than not, especially in stuff that doesn't make. I think that's from one of the special openings. That might be from the Journey to Jaburo opening.
I don't remember. This here specifically though, this is from one of the Build Divers shows.
Ah. Because that never happened. I don't. The shield does not have that function.
No, well, we never saw the shield. That's the thing.
Oh.
Like, we never saw its shield. We never saw... Did we ever see the beam rifle? I don't think we ever saw the beam rifle.
No.
Yeah, all we saw were the Gatlings and the beam saber. That was it.
When it came out in the Chobam Arbor, it was just trying to get away, and it got hit with that demo belt and had to purge its armor, but that opened up the Gatlings.
Here's the perfect file image. Because yeah, the only way you actually see what its bazooka and its beam rifle and stuff like that look like is through the model kits, and the beam rifle actually looks like a FAMAS.
Yeah.
Which I really dig the look of.
Oh yeah.
Trying to find another good shot of it, but here's the Chobam armor after it was hit by those chain mines. And then yeah, there.
Which the concept of snap-on reactive armor would show up again and again, especially with the V2 assault armor.
Yes.
Where Uso's like, it's just snap-on armor?
So yeah, and these were 90mm Gatling rounds too. So like the bullet is like the diameter of a fucking mortar shell. So imagine those in these big ass bullets being fired and hitting a human being.
You said that was 90 mil?
90 mil. That
is, that's 10mm shorts of the ARC-79 machine guns.
Yeah, it's scary, scary powerful. Oh, and here's the beam rifle. And yeah, it looks almost exactly like a FAMAS. It's a great look. And it was an EPAC beam rifle, too. and then these here are the illustrations of the leg construction, stuff like that. These are from actually the Master Grade manual as well, these illustrations. Because I know these parts all too well. And by the way, folks, the Master Grade for the Alex, one of the best ever. Bar none. It's incredible. Like, seriously. It's expensive. It's about $75, $80 for the kit. But the reason for that is because the Chobam armor. Because you're basically paying for the plastic. Whether or not you plan on using the Chobam armor, I still actually have mine on the runners. You know, you're going to buy it anyway. So. But regardless, it's such a good looking kit. I love the color scheme where it takes away the reds largely and puts them very sporadically in just a few places. I really like the fact that it is obviously built for space with the legs having the side thrusters on them like the Mark II does. I love I love the fact that it's got the guns in its forearms. It's just overall a really cool looking unit, and this is one that, like, when I was doing, this is one that, okay, one warning with the Master Grade. It does not come with water slide or dry application decals. It comes with stickers. I bought water slides immediately. Delphi Decal actually sells decals for this thing, and it's basically the sticker sheet of the Alex, but all in water slides. And that's what I used on mine, and mine looks fucking gorgeous, because all of these decals you see on this thing that you see in the anime, that's what I put on mine. And it looks fucking fantastic. In fact, I think I've got it. Let me check my Instagram real quick. I might have uploaded a photo on there, because I'm not going to go into the other room and get it real quick. I haven't upgraded my Instagram in ages, now that I think about it. Where's my Alex? There it is. So here is mine. And the only downside to the decals is you can see the outline of them. But as you can see, I put all of them, the standard ones, on there. And it is just it's a dope looking Master Grade. It's easily one of my favorites. So, and then here is the mechanic for the arm in action. So for this one, for me, 10 out of 10. I fucking love the Alex. It's so cool looking. Xavier, what do you give this thing?
Sorry, I had to step away for a sec.
No worries.
No, I love the Alex. I love the story behind the Alex. I also like the fact that it takes a lot of lessons in mobile suit engineering that they learned from Zeta and Double Zeta, but also, putting extra thrusters in there, but also doesn't make it seem out of place, being that, it's from the 0079.
Yeah.
See, that's the trick. That's the difficult part of adding new suits to the 1 Year War. Is you want to add all this cool shit onto it, but they just didn't design them that way then.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's gonna look out of place. Like, it's one of the reasons why Thunderbolt. They have to say Thunderbolt is an alternate universe. It is not canon.
Yeah.
Because, the Thunderbolt GMs, the Thunderbolt full armor, they did not design them that way in that year.
Yeah, the full armor pulls a lot from the Alex, but the binders for the shields and stuff like that, like that sort of stuff was not something that they were doing in that time frame. And then the Atlas Gundam. That one definitely pushes it a lot, especially the railgun.
Now, the Thunderbolt version of the Gouf flight type, I like that one better.
That one I really like a lot too. I love the backpack on that thing.
I love the turbofan aesthetic personally.
Oh yeah, it's cool looking. But regardless, 10 out of 10. And again, awesome master grade. If you're into master grades like Xavier and I am, build it. As you can see, I put a lot of work into mine. This is all gloss paints, by the way, for those wondering. And if you want to make your colors pop like this, like I do, use a white surfacer. White over blues. I'm of the opinion that like you shouldn't use any sort of surfacer aside from white with yellows. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it just looks fucking ugly on anything else. But yeah. It's that's how I got the paint to look as good as I did. Okay. I will move my Instagram over there because I'm not sure if I have any of the other kits from. That we were talking about. I don't think I do. Last I updated this thing was when I finished my my baby over there. My Sinanju. Okay. Next one. A lot of these got jacked up. But people fucking love this gym design, the Cold District type. Though we might as well pair it with the command because it's the same. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Gym Command Space type, Gym Cold Districts type, just 3 different paint jobs of basically the same suit.
The face is a little bit different on the Cold District type. I think it's just like a smaller visor.
Yeah, the visor is a little bit smaller, and there's less armor on the head as well. But there's it's a pretty minor difference. The torso and the arms are basically the exact same. Same amount of thrusters too. This is an interesting one. I've never understood why this thing is so popular.
It looks better than the standard GM, and the standard GM really wouldn't capture the same kind of aesthetics until the RX, the RGM 79C.
True.
Um,
Which we obviously gave a very high score to.
Yeah.
You know what this thing reminds me of? Patlabor.
Yes.
Maybe that's the reason. It's got the same color scheme as Patlabor does.
Yeah.
But actually, we should probably separate the Cold District from the command, because I'm seeing more differences. I will say if there is any one thing I really like about this, more than anything, is the simple fact that I like that it's got. I love these little red pieces on either side of the face here.
Yeah.
And I like the gray venting. I never thought I would like gray venting on a Gundam or a gym. But looking at this one, man, something about it. But yeah, it has Patlabor vibes.
Looks like it's also got 2 sets of vents, too.
Yeah. Like the Alex does. It's got shoulder vents and then chest vents.
Now, there is a delightful animation on YouTube featuring MS girls.
Yes.
Recreating this famous scene, and
yes.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, because it's a water fight, I think.
It is a water fight, and they're there to steal the Alex grill.
Yes, it's hilarious, guys. So, like, look it up sometime. But oddly enough, there is a master grade of this. It's a P Bandai exclusive. No surprise there. But I have not built it. obviously because
Ah.
it's a P Bandai.
P Bandai. That means you're only going to see it on eBay at 3 times the market value.
Unless you have the right money at the right time. That's basically the long and short of it. Because I've got 3 orders on P Bandai right now. I think.
And the market is open and the market is closed. I hope you got your order in.
Yeah, especially with Gundam Wing stuff. Because what do I have pre-ordered from them?
Yeah, Anime Guy, you are absolutely correct. That's exactly what it is. But they've been going on for since the 1980s. MS Girls.
Oh yeah.
The same artist was doing it for the longest time. I think there's new artists doing it, but it was like a rite of passage for your unit to get an MS Girl.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's what I have pre-ordered on P Bandai. Are you ready? The Tall Geese 2.
Mm-hmm.
The Tall Geese 3. Johnny Raiden's Gelgoog. And then the effect parts for the Nightingale, because those were like $15. I'm really looking forward to that Tall Geese 2 and that Tall Geese 3, man. And Johnny Raiden's Gelgoog is going to be a lot of fun to build, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I built the original Gelgoog. I love the Gelgoog 2.0. And Johnny Raiden's is a bit different, because it's basically a Gelgoog high mobility type.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to the cold type. I would give this an 8. I really like the look of it. It's a good gym design. But admittedly, it is just kind of there to get its ass kicked.
No, I would agree. It's a lot of lost potential here. So that's an 8 for me.
There we go. And then the Gym Command. This one we won't take as long with. I could have swore this had different had a couple different paint jobs to it. Because here's the default. It's a black and tan.
It also had the traditional red GM color in it's like was it 0081 side story game. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, it's right here. I like it a lot better with the red.
Yep.
I think it looks really cool. I think that this is sort of like how the gym is supposed to look. Like, I love the musculature of it. Like, it's got, because especially the leg design, it gives it calves.
Yeah.
Because the original gym, I still want to build the master grade of it someday, because the Gym 2.0 is apparently a great kit. And I actually have a cool custom paint job planned for it. But this has like this is like if the original gym started hitting the gym. It's like I'm a go in, I'm gonna have leg day, but it's mostly gonna be calf day, and I'm gonna have chest day, and I'm gonna have arm day, and then I'm gonna look like a beast, and that's what these things are. Yeah, always liked the Gym Command. Always thought it was a cool looking gym. But yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with it kind of lives or dies by its paint job.
Yeah.
So yeah, the colony type paint job, I would give this a 7. I think it's the Space Command. That's the red one. Let me look at it real quick. Because this was the predecessor to the Gym Spartan and the Gym Sniper 2. Where's it at?
Off to the Shadow Realm, I imagine.
There it is. So here's the Space type. Space type, the paint job is so much better.
Yeah.
So Space type, I would give an 8. What do you think?
It's also got 2. I'd say 8 or 9. I love that it has 2 sets of vents, and again, this is that same aesthetic I was talking about earlier, where they started working more triangles and jutting that top of the chest out more.
Yeah. Also, this has the same sort of. Well, actually, no. This does not have. This is the same sort of beam saber setup the Hyakushiki has, where it's on the back armor, and they set down so it just reaches on its butt and grabs one. One thing a lot of people don't know: the Hyakushiki actually has 2 beam sabers.
Probably made them hard to grab, but by moving them down there, they're not up on top of that backpack. Its head can swing around more, yes. And they have that extra antenna for the communications array because the command type had like that extra CNC capabilities.
Yeah. To pause the action real quick, Anime Guy asks, have we been seeing the Armored Core and Gundam memes? The one that I have seen is, it says From Software, it's slapping Bandai over the head and says, this is how you make a Gundam game. Which, yeah, I'll put it this way. The way that the Armored Cores, the AC units move in Armored Core 6 is very reminiscent of how a Gundam can move. They are that fast. Gundams have a bit more power, though. But they are that quick. Because, like, one of the scariest things about the RX-78 is the fact that it could take off at a full sprint. And it could combat roll. It's actually one that involves people trying to make Gundams in Armored Core. I did see that. I saw somebody try to make the Barbatos. But you can't because you don't get a big fuck-off mace.
I did see somebody make the Sazabi with funnels.
That's awesome.
It looked like it. It moved like it. It was absurd. Oh, it was so great.
I will have to look that up later. But yeah. So that's the Gym Command. Now for everybody's favorite that isn't the Alex. The Gym Sniper 2. Oddly enough, the suit that pulls a lot from this in Zeta, or rather this is sort of like the predecessor to a specific suit in Zeta, is the Nemo. It even has a very similar, if not the same, backpack. Yeah, it does. Same beam saber placement. Actually, no, the Nemo's beam saber placement's a little different. The Nemo has beam sabers that are a little bit longer, and it has a hatch that pulls back, that covers both of them as a recharging station, so that it pulls energy from the reactor. But the leg thrusters are the same as the Nemo's too. So, but everybody loves the Gym Sniper 2. And for good reason. I mean, this was, stats-wise, this thing actually has the same level of performance in reactor and everything as the RX-78. It is a monster of a machine. The problem is that the people who piloted this fucking thing in 0080 didn't know what the fuck they were doing with it.
It's the greatest jobber ever manufactured.
It really is.
Its specs are so high, but it dies so easily.
Basically, I want to build one of these at some point and do like a custom paint job of it. But admittedly, if I did a custom paint job, it's just going to look like this. I'm just going to make the White Dingo. Because the White Dingo team, they put this thing to work.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever want to see how good these suits could be, folks, look up the what is it, Gundam Side Story Rise from the Ashes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think you have to like beat the game to unlock the GM Sniper.
Yeah, because it's like their end game unit. Because that team started with Gym Ground Types.
Actually, they started with normal mass production GMs. They didn't get the Ground Type.
Oh, wow.
And they had RGC-80 GM cannons, which is what I rocked all the time. because that fucking cannon fucking kicks ass. Especially when you're taking out pillboxes, which is like one of the early missions. Go in here, this town, and take out these pillboxes.
Yeah.
You know, 1 or 2 shots of the cannon, and they're done.
But the great thing about this particular mobile suit is it can use anything. It has the same versatility of the Gym Ground Type. Anything from Gundam or Gym production, it can use. And then, of course, like the one thing everybody remembers from the anime is this fold-down visor shot, and then the steam vents out. Like, it's so fucking cool.
And then it gets fucking jobbed.
Yes.
It was like, literally like right after that.
But here's the White Dingo version, firing a beam rifle. Now, the difference between the White Dingo and the standard Gym Sniper 2's loadouts is the White Dingo guys had the same they had the Gym Sniper 1 rifles, which are concentrated beam shots.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the Gym Sniper 2 standard one, this one uses a physical bullet. Which let's see if we can get the stats on that thing. Here it is. The HWF GR MLR 7990 millimeter long rifle. So 90 millimeter round, so the same size round as is getting fired out of the Alex's arms. But obviously it's going to be a longer bullet. But pretty substantial weapon in regards to what it could do. Or am I even looking at the wrong one? Am I looking at the right one? I'm not. It's this one here. It's the 75 millimeter sniper rifle. 5-round mag. Huge bullet. Pretty fucking devastating. But it could use any sort of beam weaponry that because here it's got, this is basically everything you could use. The bullpup machine gun, the normal machine gun, long range beam rifle, the 75 mil sniper, the ground type beam rifle, the BRS beam sniper. This thing was just nuts in regards to what it could do. And it also, of course, had extra armor you could tack onto it as well. So, the funniest thing about this fucking suit is, like, yeah, it is the jobber of jobbers in 0080, but it did cool shit everywhere else. So, and it just looks really good. I have to give this thing a 9 out of 10, and the White Dingo version gets a 10 because that's just a sick paint job.
No, I'll agree with that. White Dingo did so many favors for that thing, because otherwise it would just be, oh, you mean that thing that ate shit that one time? I think White Dingo actually has a better shield, too.
Actually, no. The White Dingo shield is
That's a standard ground type shield?
Yeah, it's a standard ground type shield. It's only a little bit bigger, but it doesn't cover as much space as the normal one does. On the flip side, this is a better shield for sniping. But yeah, awesome mobile suit, to say the least. Okay, gun cannon mass production type. This is a thing that exists. It also ain't shit.
I think aesthetically it looks better than the original gun cannon, but that's just modern design sensibilities compared to the 1970s. So it's understandable, but not really fair.
My problem with it is it's a football player.
Okay.
Are you seeing it now?
No, I see it. I just okay.
It just looks like it's a football player.
That is an opinion you are having.
That's the one thing that bothers me. It just looks like a football player. It looks like Gundam Maxter's like boring little brother.
No, I like that the cannons rather than just look like generic laser comes out of here. These actually look like either grenade launchers or artillery cannon.
Yeah, like here's what I'll say I like about it. I really like the leg and arm construction. I like the torso too. I don't understand why it needs a penis, but it has one.
Because it wants to hang out at Club Barzam.
I guess. But I also don't know why it has a gas pedal coming out of its ass.
It has a butthole.
So I don't know. I don't get it personally.
Hey, but, you guys like 2B? You like that near automata butthole? This one's for you.
But
real mechs have butthole.
I guess. But it's here's the White Dingo version. I like this a lot better.
I like the red better. This is another one, paint job makes or breaks.
Yeah. I would give it a 6. Like, it's alright.
I'm going to give it about a 7 and an 8 for that butthole.
Jesus Christ. But this image just kind of sums up the gun cannon mass production type in 0080. It's just crap.
Oh no. Come here, you! Oh no.
Yeah. Now, time for the Zeon stuff. The fuck? Why does it keep saying advertisement? Go away. The campfire.
That's as big as it's gonna get. I love it so much.
This is a great looking Zeon machine.
This one I think is technically out of design wise. I think it's a little out of place. I think it's too many shapes for this era, but I don't care. It looks so good.
Yeah, it definitely screams prototype.
Like, this seems like it would be more at home in Zeta or even Double Zeta, but I don't care. It looks so good.
Yeah, it really does feel like a precursor to that era mobile suit design.
It screams over-designed.
I don't know about. I don't think I agree with that. I really dig the look of this thing. Oddly enough, this is actually the less armored version of it.
Who's the designer?
This one's also Izubuchi. Izubuchi did a lot. Like, he did most, if not all, the designs on 0080. But here's another shot of it. The one thing that I love about this thing is just how fast it is, and it's obviously built for mobility. It's a Zeon the best way to describe its design is this is Zeon as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that many suits that could Zeon any harder than this thing outside of the Sazabi.
This is literally the armored core in the Gundam.
It really is. I'm surprised. It wouldn't surprise me if there's somebody in playing Armored Core 6 right now trying to make this thing, because you probably could. But it is so crazy because this thing is so fast, and yet it is armed to the teeth. This thing it's a Blitzkrieg mobile suit. It has a shotgun. It's got, as you can see here, the Sturmfausts. It's got 2 rocket launchers. And then, of course, it uses that chain mine as well. Plus, it has a beam saber.
Looking up Izubuchi. Izubuchi is the creator of Razafon.
Yes, he is. And
He also create.
He designed both the new Gundam and the Sazabe.
He's also credited with the creation of this new anime coming out later this year called Metallic Rouge that looks really fucking sick.
Cool.
He designed the mecha from Panzer World Gallant. And he did work on Pat Labor.
Yes, he did.
That's why he's one of those guys that has the 3 and 5 dots, the 3 and 5 drilled holes. It's like one of their signature aesthetics.
Yeah,
I think that's him, and you can see it. You can see it right there. He puts them everywhere.
it's a neat little design. Yeah, God, I love this suit. I think one thing especially about this thing that I dig about it is it's not the typical Zeon color scheme either. It's like the dark blue kind of makes it feel like it's meant to be used at night.
See, he also worked on he did some design work for Eureka 7, and he did a lot of monster design for a lot of Sentai and 2 Kamen Riders.
Not surprising. So would this be the Zeon equivalent to a Gundam? No. This thing gets owned by a Gundam. Like it gets spanked by the Alex. Like it's not even close. That all the Alex does is just uncork its the minigun in its arm, and it's done. Fight's over.
Yeah, spec wise, the Gelgoog is on par with the Gundam.
Yes.
The only issue is by the time the Gelgoog rolled out, the only people that could have realistically utilized it to that extent were all dead.
Basically.
Or Char. Dead or Char.
Dead or Char, Shin, or Johnny Raiden.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, no. Annabelle Gotcha was still alive.
I don't think Shin got his Gelgoog.
Yeah, he did. He fought it about.
It's been a long time since I played the side stories and encounters from space. That game is hard.
Yes, it is. Anime Guy says this screams Sabaton Stormtroopers. Kind of. It's a very German-looking design, to say the least. I mean, it's called the Kampfer, for God's sake. It's German as fuck.
I love that the face makes him look like a grumpy spaceman.
It really does. But yeah, this is a great mobile suit. And then the funny thing is, this is not even completely armored. This is the completely armored version. This is the Titania. This is a new type version of the Kampfer. And it is one of my favorite mobile suits in GBO2 because it's from Code Fairy.
I would love to see it. I've got an ad running. It's fine. I'll see it here in a second.
Yeah, give it about 5 seconds.
There we go. The fuchsia and white really works.
Yes, it does. I love the Titania. It's such a cool looking mobile suit. But yeah, this is what it looks like with armor on it, with hip armor and everything. And yeah, this is specifically built for new types.
Yeah.
So this is one that can perform on par with a Gundam, because this thing's rival was a customized Gundam Pixie that it fought to a draw multiple times. But yeah, the Kampfer, I gotta give this thing a 9. Like it's just so cool looking. The only downside to it, I think, is that it's a little. I don't like the lack of hip armor about it. I think that's one thing that bothers me. Everything else is just so. Mwah, it's a great design. What about you?
The one issue I had building the MG is the hosing. they give you a single length of hose, and you are expected to measure it and cut it, and fit it,
Oh,
and you
kind
get
of
one
like you
try.
have to with the Mark II, right?
Yeah, you get one try.
Yeah, because I have not built this one yet. I really want to.
And the way it's supposed to fit in there, it's kind of supposed to be like a Chinese finger trap, where you kind of like pull it back, and push it in there,
Right.
and it's supposed to hold itself in that way. Um, I I never finished mine because I built it. It looked great, and I started painting it with gloss, and I had never worked with gloss before,
Ah.
and I thinned the yellow too much,
Oh
and so
no.
I go to the yellow parts, and the paint is blasting off as fast as I'm putting it on there, and like, what the fuck?
Yeah, yellow you gotta go a little thicker on.
And because basically my times when I was building it was build it, see what's visible, take it apart, clean it, then prime it and paint it, and that's like a 3-day process. And once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, because you're
Because
working with you were using acrylic paint, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and that takes
and
way longer to dry.
yeah, which I never had an issue with. The issue was is that because I broke the ritual, it sat there in my room for weeks until I finally just like, I'm not finishing this.
Right. Because yeah, like for those playing the home game, the paints I use are lacquers, and they dry fast. Like that's some people wondered is like how did I build with my Jagan? That is the 48-hour kit. That took me 48 hours to build and paint, file all of it. And people ask me, how did you do that? Lacquer paints. It's the main reason. I could just paint and go. It can do a lot really quickly. So, all right, moving on. Because we got 3 more suits to go through. The Zaku 2 Kai. So this is a pretty good one. It's a good little remix, I guess you could say, of the Zaku 2. This is obviously mostly known for being Bernie's mobile suit. It's got an interesting color palette change from the original. It's obviously much more heavily armored.
It's also using that same aesthetic I mentioned before, the triangles and the jutting forward of the chest.
Yes.
Whereas previously, Gundam very much did blocky chests.
Here's a really good shot of it with its heat hawk. Yeah, it definitely went like it did not skip chest day. That is for sure. Another thing that it does is it trades out the green piping for yellow, like the Hyzak. And its color scheme is very similar to the Hyzak's as well.
It is also one of the part of Team Barzan with that dick nozzle there.
Yes.
It's got a dick blaster.
So, this is an interesting one. Because it basically it takes the Zaku 2 and just cranks the armor up to 10. We didn't really
this is
get to see how. Ooh, that's a cool paint design. It's kind of like Shin Matsunaga's. I don't know what to think about this one. Like, I like it. I love its machine gun. It's got a dope looking heat hawk too.
Oh, honestly, it's kind of mid.
You think
Probably
so?
like 5 or 6. It looks cool. I think its color breakdown is a lot better than the original Zaku. I like that it has that centralized cockpit instead of the goofy sideways cockpit that the original Zaku has.
Yeah, which let me show people what that is real quick. So here's Char's Zaku, right? So the cockpit hatch is actually right here on this left side. And I can slide it up and you can see him in there. So yeah, that was always a weird thing about the Zaku 2 to me. So yeah, this is a much more, it's just dead center. Anyway, continue.
So, I like that. Otherwise, it's just, besides the improved machine gun, which, looks great, it's just a bulky Zaku. I mean, I like the Zaku. I like the aesthetic. I just, congratulations, you've made a wheel. Kevin showed us a wheel yesterday. Yours is nice too, though.
It's nice and admittedly very heavy.
Yeah.
This is really good box art of it. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think it's a good looking design. It's obviously, again, it's a Zaku that hit the gym. I dig the color scheme of it. I really like this rounded edge of the shield too on the shoulder. I think it's just a really cool looking heavy assault type Zaku. I love its color scheme. It's obviously built more for space combat because it's got all these vents here that are meant to push it around.
Yeah.
It's a good looking suit. The more I look at it, the more I like it. It's just, I don't think it's as good as the original. I think mostly because it is so chonky. Like the size of it, like the head looks so tiny compared to its the rest of the torso. Whereas if you look at the normal Zaku 2, the head is a lot more proportional to its chest. So it's basically a Zaku on steroids, and I don't think a Zaku on steroids is necessarily as good as the original. So yeah, I would give it a 7. All right, last two. The Rickdom 2, which these we could just roll through really fast.
Okay.
The Rickdom 2, I mean,
I didn't see it do anything special.
It just kind of shows up. I think it's cool looking.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
obviously
sure. Yeah, performance-wise, I'm sure it's better than the Rickdom, but
yeah, it's obviously built for space. It's got the underskirt thrusters, like a Gelgoog. So it's kind of like a middle stop between the two.
It's a chest beam scatter gun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. I'll give this a 7 as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool looking. And it also uses that dope machine gun that the Zaku 2 Kai uses with that underslung grenade launcher.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7 or 10 for me. What do you think?
7 is pretty good.
And then finally, the Gelgoog Jaeger. This is a pretty dope looking Gelgoog. I ain't even gonna lie.
Is this like a step between the normal Gelgoog and the Mariner?
Basically. This is the one that Shin Matsunaga piloted.
Ah.
Because he had a Jaeger. And then I think that Johnny Ryden got his hands on one at 1.2.
Right, because this one has the wrist cannons.
Yes.
Whereas in the original, there's like wrist vents. Which is silly, but in the 2.0 Master Grade, if you just pull the vent plate off, you could just say they're the wrist cannons.
Basically.
There's a part under there that looks like the machine gun.
It really does. But I mean, it's a slick looking Gelgoog. The funny thing is compared to the normal Gelgoog, unlike these others, it's actually a little slimmer. It actually lost a little bit of weight. I really like the shield design on it too. I think the shield is a little bit. It has a better shape than the normal Gelgoog, kind of just oval looking one.
Yeah. And a standard beam saber instead of the beam Naginata.
Yeah, it's a mean looking version of the Gelgoog. I don't think I like it as much because it's not as iconic, but it's still dope looking. I'm gonna give this an 8. I think it's a good looking Zeon suit.
I would give it a 7.5.
And yep, here it is. So here's Johnny Raiden's Gelgoog, and then here's Shin Matsunaga's Gelgoog Jaeger.
Like, it's definitely a better shape overall. I think it still has again lost potential. It's begging to be customized. That's kind of how you get the Gelgoog Mariner out of it.
Yeah. And the Gelgoog Marine is fucking awesome.
Yeah. The Gelgoog just looks better with a backpack, unlike what they did before where, oh no, its backpack's jets are just under its skirt. No, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's under the skirt and under the legs. Which is something they brought back for the fucking Sazabe, oddly enough. Which I'm gonna just say this right now, that doing those took fucking forever.
Yeah.
Well, folks, there we go. The mecha have been rated for 0080 and 0080. I'm sorry, 08 the Mess Team and 0080. Of the two, which show do you think has the better mecha design?
That's a tough call. That is a super tough call. I think 8th MS Team had more winners. The winners it had were like really high up there on the scale. But 0080, I think even its grunt types looked great. Like I said, the mass production gun cannon, I really liked that. You don't like it, that's okay. I liked it. I think it looks really cool. I thought its version of the GM sniper is way better versus a recolor of an existing unit. I think I would go with 0080.
I think I would too. I'm just a big fan of Izubuchi's designs. I feel like it's there's something really cool about just how he does things. I can't really put my finger on it. I've always liked his designs. I love the Sazabe, I love the new Gundam, I love the Alex. You know. 0083 Win. At some point, for me, I'd love to do that, but I really want to do Wing. Because obviously I am a Wing fan. Because I've got the Epion and Wing Zero over there. I still have a Tall Geese on my desk. He is right here. And it stays on my desk. The Tall Geese 2, when I do that one, will probably stay on my desk as well.
Wow.
I love the Tall Geese. It's one of my favorite suits. But that's one I really want to do is Wing. Because Wing has a lot of good mecha designs. A lot of them. That I would absolutely love to talk about. So, before we take off, for those who don't know, Xavier here works with me over with Grindstone Arts.
Yeah,
So,
I knew that.
because I just realized I haven't announced like what the whole staff is. So before we get taken off, um, a bit of a reminder of stuff we got going on, because there's a lot going on with us right now. We've got several campaigns on Indiegogo, all of which are pretty awesome. We're still waiting for the PayPal shit to get sorted out so that we can get, you know, the stuff from the sleeveless side of things moving. But regardless, we are still rolling, to say the least, because these books will get out to people, just so people know. So of course, 3 Nights 4 Days Part 2 is at $15,200 with 180 backers. So I want to get 20 more backers before we close this out, guys. Like, get on it if you haven't already. Then we've got American Monsters, my novella. Only 45 backers. I'd love to see more on this. But we have gotten one of the stretch goals on it, which made me very happy when we got there. But this is my novella. It is a prequel to the book Project Lazarus. This one I'm going to see if we can get the money together to just fulfill it out of pocket. And then, of course, you know, once this PayPal thing blows over, you know, I can just reimburse myself. It's not that big of a deal. But it will cost a decent amount of money to do that. Then, of course, a couple of mailing lists. We have from Michael Octavius, who is one of Xavier's friends, who is doing a book for us called Human Shield from the Ashes. Since this is a reconstruction project, Xavier, why don't you go ahead and hit everybody with a pitch on this one?
Right. As everyone may recall, if you read Peregrine, Human Shield is a team member of Star Force. All of a sudden, he gets a call that some bad shit's going on in his hometown in Buenos Aires, which got hit really fucking hard during the invasion that killed most of the world's heroes. So he's got to go down there, and he runs into some people that he knows, some people he doesn't expect, and finds out that actually shit down there is worse than he thought. And terrorists are purposely inflaming the situation to create a tragedy.
Yeah, it is going to be a great fucking book. The one thing I love about the art style especially is that it's Mannix's art style reminds me a lot of John Romita Jr. So if anybody out there that's watching this is a John Romita Jr. fan, definitely get signed up for the mailing list on this one. This is one you're not going to want to miss. And then, of course, for those who are watching this on Twitch, I just put the link in the chat. And if you're watching the YouTube version of this, the link will be in the description for this mailing list. Get signed up for an exclusive trading card. We'll be launching this probably in a couple of months. And then finally, last but not least, the Saint and Peregrine Dark Knight in the Windy City. The trailer is up for this, and I am just going to play this trailer real quick.
No audio.
What? There should be.
Hold on, maybe that's my fault.
Oh my god, Xavier. Anyway, starting again.
Hey there. Looks like you could use a little help.
Get on the mailing list today, folks. You will not be disappointed. That is going to be an awesome, awesome book. So, again, thank you, everybody, for coming by and hanging out. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, I do go live on Twitch. The plan is to try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week with my work schedule permitting. And then Wednesdays every other Wednesday, because Wednesdays I do have business meetings that go on Wednesdays, so I'm not able to stream every other Wednesday. But every other time, I will be able to do that. So on top of that, our friend Martyr is now the voice of Peregrine, which is awesome because she's an awesome girl, a good friend of ours, been a friend of ours for a long time. So for those of you watching the YouTube version, if you enjoy videos like this and you enjoy comic books, back the books, subscribe to the channel, and we will be back soon with more fun stuff.